All right, welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stories you'll ever hear about a sudden rise to power. We're talking about a journey from the absolute darkness of a dungeon straight to the right hand of a king. It's this amazing story about timing, wisdom, and a crisis that, well, it changed absolutely everything. So let's get right into it. So our story kicks off with a massive problem that has a grip on the most powerful nation on Earth. And it all starts inside the mind of its ruler, with a dream so disturbing it's threatening to unravel the entire kingdom. First up, a king's unsolvable problem. You've got Pharaoh, the most powerful man on the planet, and he's facing a crisis that all of his power and all of his money just can't seem to fix. So Pharaoh has these two really bizarre recurring nightmares. First, he sees 7 healthy fat cows just getting devoured by 7 skeletal, sickly ones. Then, the same exact thing happens with grain. 7 full, healthy ears are swallowed up by 7 withered, thin ones. He wakes up, and he is deeply troubled. He just knows in his gut this is way more than just a bad dream. So, he does what any powerful ruler would do, right? He summons his best and brightest. He brings in the top magicians, all the wise men of Egypt. But nothing. Crickets. Despite all their expertise, they're completely stumped. You can just imagine the silence in that room. The collective wisdom of an entire kingdom had just hit a brick wall. And just when it seems like all hope is lost, the answer starts to emerge from the most unlikely of places, and from a person pretty much everyone had completely forgotten about. Right at this peak moment of national crisis, a light bulb goes off for Pharaoh's chief butler. He suddenly remembers something. 2 years ago, when he was in prison, a young Hebrew inmate perfectly interpreted his dream. So he speaks up and tells Pharaoh about this guy who can see things that nobody else can. And just think about this contrast for a second. On one side, you've got all the power and knowledge of Pharaoh's entire court, which produced absolutely nothing. And on the other side, a single forgotten prisoner in a dungeon. And that's where the only glimmer of hope is coming from. It's a pretty stunning reversal. Joseph had been waiting in that dungeon for 2 extra years. He probably felt completely forgotten by the butler he helped. But like the scripture says, there is a time for everything. That 2-year delay, it wasn't an accident. It was more like an incubation period. It put him in the exact right place at the exact right time to save not just one person, but an entire nation. So this sets the stage for the pivotal moment of the whole story, this face-to-face meeting between the desperate king and the humble prisoner. The command is given, and things start moving fast. Joseph is rushed out of the dungeon. After years in prison, he shaves, he changes his clothes, getting ready to stand before the most powerful man in the world. Can you just imagine that transition? From chains to a royal court in, a matter of minutes? So Pharaoh basically says to him, "Hey, I hear you're the guy who can interpret dreams." But Joseph's response is immediate, and it's stunning. He says, "It's not in me." He completely deflects the credit, pointing away from himself. This kind of radical humility is the total opposite of the confident, self-reliant experts who had already failed so spectacularly. Now, Joseph's wisdom doesn't just provide an answer, it provides a real solution. And that solution is what catapults him from his chains directly into a position of command. Okay, so here's the interpretation. Joseph just lays it all out. The 2 dreams are actually one single message from God, and it's a warning. Egypt is about to get 7 years of incredible, unbelievable abundance, followed by 7 years of a famine so devastating it'll make everyone forget the good times ever even happened. But here's the thing. He doesn't just deliver bad news. He delivers a solution, a brilliant, practical 3-step plan. Step 1, appoint a single wise leader to manage the entire national response. Step 2, during the good years, tax and collect 1/5 of the whole harvest. And Step 3, store all that grain in cities across Egypt to create a national reserve for when the famine finally hits. Pharaoh and his officials, they're just blown away. The king turns to his servants and asks this question that doesn't even need an answer. Can we find anyone else like this? A man who is so clearly filled with the Spirit of God? And in that moment, he gets it. Joseph's wisdom isn't just smart, it's divine. And right then and there, Pharaoh makes his decision. He doesn't just hire Joseph, he elevates him. Big time. He gives Joseph his own signet ring, the ultimate symbol of royal authority. He clothes him in fine linen and places him in charge of the entire land of Egypt, second in command only to Pharaoh himself. I mean, from prisoner to prime minister in a single day. Wow. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's a total masterclass in purpose and in perfect timing. This is really what Joseph's story is all about. He didn't climb the ladder, he didn't get this promotion through networking or ambition. It just happened. At the one exact moment it was needed, orchestrated by a power far greater than any king. It's a powerful reminder of who's ultimately in control of our direction. Through this whole ordeal, Joseph's real superpower was his humility. He never once took the credit, not even when a king was basically handing it to him on a silver platter. His story is just this powerful picture of an idea, that true elevation doesn't come from seeking it, but by waiting for the right moment, in due time. And this leaves us with a final, kind of provocative thought. Joseph's 2 wasted years in prison were the very thing that positioned him for his destiny. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if the biggest delays in our own lives aren't setbacks at all, but are actually the training ground for our greatest moments?